Okay, so we have Edgar and Tanya here. Um, Edgar and I work together, and Tanya is obviously his wife. You know, well, I don't know why she's with him, but
I don't know. Obviously, it's like the right word, but
so yeah. So Edgar started working. We started working together about 4 years ago, maybe
yeah, pretty
three,
much.
4 years ago, and I had to go to his office for some reason after he started working there, and I noticed he was wearing like hiking shoes and hiking pants, and so I'm like, hey, you like to camp? He's like, I love to camp. So that's how me and Edgar started hanging out, and then obviously I met Tanya through Edgar, and we all camped together, and it's uh, it's been some adventurous times.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you guys are good,
Yes.
Yes.
yeah. Um, what gave you the interest in going into the backcountry for the first time? Whether it's here or you guys back in Mexico or you know,
Well, actually, we both did a lot of camping since we were very young. Me with my parents, since one of my oldest memories is us camping by a lake in Mexico, uh, long time ago, and then I did a small couple trips with some friends. And Tanya has been camping all her life too,
Yeah,
pretty much.
since I was young, 12, something.
Yeah, so we've done a lot of car camping.
But
And
here we have a lot of space where to do it that we don't have in Mexico. So why not?
it's not like you don't have
Really,
the space.
it's
It's
different.
yeah, it's safety issues sometimes. Sometimes you don't really know where to go. Whereas here, it's easier to find information about where to go. And so it's we've been doing car camping here for I'd say good 6 7 years now. And backcountry, I my first backcountry experience was actually with you when we went to Algonquin
Hmm.
with Daniel.
yeah, yeah. On I think it was Thanksgiving weekend.
It was Thanksgiving
Hmm.
weekend,
Yeah.
yeah, 2.5 years ago.
So, but what made you do it for the first time? Like, what drew you to it?
Well, it was just car camping was just not enough, I guess, at some point. I mean, it's fine to it's always nice to go car camping with a group of friends and stay by the fire and whatnot. But sometimes it's just the hunger for exploring. It's we're both like that. We like exploring. We like hiking a lot. So like backcountry
Just to
camping
try.
was like the natural step forward.
Yeah. So in your opinion, what makes people like us? Obviously, because we're like-minded, right? We like the outdoors experience, and we what makes us different from the people that enjoy more city life and like nightlife and bars, and what do you think it is that draws us like to different directions?
That for us, being in contact with nature is what gave us, I don't know, peace and out of the cell phone and all the technology. Well, at least for me, is that being in contact with the nature.
I think there's kind of a romantic idea about, yeah, disconnect, going back to basics, going back to how life was a few decades ago, where there was no all this technology. You didn't have your cell phones, you didn't have your tablets, screens everywhere, and being able to, I don't know how to say it, like manage by yourself, even if it's just for a couple days in the woods, but knowing that it's you depend on you and the people you're around, and that's it.
And be yourself.
And yeah,
Yeah.
and be
Because
yourself.
other
It's
here you have to, I don't know, dress well and be nice. And in camping, if you're with, I don't know,
pretty
all
much
muddy and
everything goes.
yeah, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
But
Yes, I think it's for one side, for yeah. it's like you said, we're not very interested in going to dance clubs or stuff like that, and it's we have that same. I, I want to say that same connection with nature. Like we enjoy being alone in a group of people. I don't know, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's you can be with a group of people, and but you're also in your head, and all you see is nature. It's peaceful, peaceful, I guess.
Why do you feel that people have this need when they're getting out in nature to just overpack and bring everything they possibly can? And at the same time, in the second part of the question, what is it that you guys bring that you could really do without, but you bring it anyway?
So yeah, you're talking about me, huh? You take that question for me.
No, no, like I said in my interview yesterday, like I remember me and John, our first trip, we were over 110 pounds, our bags, and you were really good the first time, but like I said, it's just like, why do you think that people have that need to, you know, not be able to scale things down to the basics, which is
That
what's people that do over time, that's what they do. And at the same time, I know personally I bring things that, well, maybe one or two things that I don't need to bring, but I'm like, yeah, I'm bringing them, I don't care.
Yeah, I think it's the first times you go out there, you don't know what you really need
what to expect.
and what you don't need, and you don't know what to expect. So you tend to over prepare. In our case, both being ex former EMTs, we want to be prepared for everything. It's like there's a saying, prepare for the
For the
worst,
worst.
expecting the best. So we tend to over prepare.
And I
We
think
don't want to get caught with the doors,
with the fingers in the
with
door.
the fingers on the door, you know.
But I think also it's because we don't know. Once you get to know, then you learn that you don't need any of those. Like the first time, you don't know if you're gonna be cold, if you're gonna be, I don't know what you can find. So you tend to bring all the stuff that you have here, that you use here you normally,
Hmm.
but over there you finish like, okay, why did I brought this?
Yeah, after the first trip, you realize there's some things that can have two or three different applications.
Hmm.
So you say, okay, I don't need to bring, I don't know, an extra set of stakes for my tent. I can use rocks and I can use
You learn.
sticks.
Sticks and
So okay, then I'm shaving some a few grams there, and I don't need to bring clothes for every single day and night. It's fine if I don't change for a couple days.
or a week.
Yeah, or a week.
Well, I'm glad that last May, I'm glad that the one thing that I'm like, okay, well, you know what? I've never played cards, but I'm gonna bring the cards, and we actually used them.
Yeah,
I used them for the second time ever last May.
yeah. It was that, or just watching the wind blows because there was nothing else to do while we were waiting.
Or paddling 2 foot waves and drowning.
Yeah.
So what is the thing that you guys bring that you don't have to bring, that that it's just that I like to have it, kind of thing.
I think I always carry an extra lamp. It's I always have my headlamp with me, and I know my cell phone has a lamp, and even at that, I always carry another lamp just because I might need a lamp, and
And me,
because I
it's
know I
clothes.
take the batteries and I can start a fire with the batteries. I know the theory how to do it. I've never done it, but it'd be useful. And use clothes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what if I get wet or what if I'm cold? Yeah, I guess it's that.
So
yeah.
too much clothes.
Yeah.
and then you're like, I didn't wear this.
Yeah.
uh,
I don't know.
no, I mean, our first trip we brought way too much clothes too. So, you're always like, what if it's cold? What if it's wet? What if I'm this? What if and now, like I said, I think we bring one set of extra things, and that's not even really, necessary.
Yeah.
So,
What I tend to carry a lot of always food.
Because you eat a lot, that's why.
oh,
I'm always the thing I hate the most is being hungry. So I tend to overpack on food just because I don't want to be hungry.
so that emergency creme brulee that you brought last May, that was a necessity.
That was a necessity. Yeah.
So, what drew you guys to canoeing and boating? Like, what kind of like I might be retouching on that thing from before, but like it's one thing, like you said, you guys are into hiking and stuff like that. But like one thing I've learned is hiking and canoeing are two different things.
Yeah.
So what was the draw to saying, okay, we're going to take our adventures to the water instead of just being on land?
You.
You.
Thanks.
Me, I've always been drawn to water. I love water. I love swimming, and every time I can, I just if I can flip my boat just for the fun of it, I'll do it. But
Except for not for the fun of Tanya.
yeah,
Tanya's not having too much fun there.
yeah, and actually, to be honest, I didn't think we will be doing any canoe camping.
No.
Just because the first time we went on a canoe,
It wasn't
it
good.
was
It was a disaster.
yeah, it was an awful experience.
Yeah.
We went back to the camping site, mad with each other, mad with ourselves. That night, I think we barely spoke to each other, and then then we knew that we tried kayaks, solo kayaks, and that was fine. But I didn't think it was gonna be a thing for us, like canoe camping and stuff like that, until we started learning canoe techniques and how to paddle, how not to flip the boat, how to make it a more stable, and then we started enjoying actually going out in the canoe. So okay, let's Ans. I think we did the first trip on a canoe was Algonquin with you guys
That's why I was so nervous about it.
July 1st.
Yeah. Yeah, Canada.
Day. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that we went to Greenleaf.
Yeah.
To Greenleaf. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was our first canoe trip, and I think after that, that's when we realized, okay, we trust each other again to be on the same boat, and the boat is not gonna flip. And after that, we've been enjoying canoeing more and more.
Yeah, well, I mean, you guys you had rented a prospector too, so being in a prospector is a good boat to not
Start.
worry about flipping.
Yeah.
But it's like they say with the canoe, it's like the worst cause of a divorce other than a mistress is a canoe. Because I mean, it's also the same with friends, right? Like, I mean, if friends aren't like in sync with each other and they're not paddling at the same time, they're not doing the same time, if they get to the point where you have to ask, what are you gonna do?
Mm-hmm.
Then in especially in sketchy situations, then it could be very nerve wracking, right? So
Yeah. So yeah, I didn't think we were gonna do any canoe camping, but the first experience that we had that was actually with you guys, it went pretty well. So that's what
Give us the push to keep doing it.
to keep doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, I'm glad I helped you guys out. Out of long trips and short trips, what is it that you prefer doing and why? I know that Edgar has been on over a week trip with us. Tanya has not been on a week trip with us. She's only been on long weekends. But if you had so I'll just word it in a way that if you had the opportunity to do a long trip, do you think you'd enjoy it? So, I mean, I'll just throw it out there, and you guys can.
I think there's very different experience both, because a short trip, just a long weekend, you know, it's just a couple nights out in the woods.
Enjoy.
It's not gonna be a demanding trip. It's mostly enjoy. You go, even if you spend both nights at different campsites, it's not gonna be very demanding. Whereas when you go for a week or for a long trip,
It's a challenge.
it's yeah, that's when you start challenging yourself. And she's done some week long
Yeah.
trips, not here, not with us,
Okay.
but uh, but yeah, I think like she says,
1 week.
it's the challenge. It's not, you know, that you're gonna be further into the woods. It's gonna be more tricky if something were to happen. So then you are more, I want to say, more focused maybe on what you're doing. You, it's yeah. I think it's that it's there's two different, very different experiences. For me, I really enjoy the long trip, but I also enjoy short trips. I think just as much.
So Tanya, you being on long trips, not with us, obviously, because like I said, we've gone on long weekends together. But
Mhm.
doing your long trips that you've been on versus a short trip, like what are your preferences? What are your
Both. Both, but it just, you can have both different times, and it's easier to go in the short ones and just like get away for a couple of days. That's fun. But the other one, the long ones, it's also a challenge, and I like both. Yeah.
The what?
the meanest link?
The meanest.
Yeah, the meanest link. It's a trip across Algonquin where you hit all of the outfitters. So you go around this big loop, and it takes as long as it takes. And on the Meanest Link, there's it's the Meanest Link was a dedication to Bill Swift Sr.
Hmm.
And on the Meanest Link, there's a campsite on Lake Lave that you're supposed to stop at and give a cheers to Bill Swift Sr. Um, if you guys had the choice right now to pick any place in the world, it doesn't have to be Algonquin. Doesn't. Where would you want people to give you that cheers once you've passed on? Where would you want that? I'm here for Edgar. I'm here for Tanya. Cheers to them. Good job.
Wow.
That's a very good question. ah,
I don't know.
I did a trip with my dad once for work. While he was working, I was just the sidekick. But we hiked in one day, like maybe I want to say 17 to 20K, but it was very rough terrain in a semi-desert, and it was really tricky. There was cactus everywhere. There's this kind of it's like some kind of poison ivy that grows in the semi-desert. And I remember that hike was particularly tough.
What's the name?
It's
Where was it?
in Los Pintos Rupestres.
State.
It's in the state of Guanajuato.
Okay.
There's some rock art, and it's called Victoria. I don't know, it might be, if someone were to hike over there and they had a good time. I think that's a.
That's where they raise your glass.
I
Here's
will have I will have a beer with them.
here's one to Edgar.
Yeah.
And Tanya, you?
I don't know. Well, the place that is the same. It's more like bring good memories for me. It's in also in Mexico. It's called Michoacán, Los Azufres, and that's where my most experience doing camping was with my friends and the little group that I used to be with. So over there, and if it's like one place for both of us, I don't know, maybe Jack's Cartier. I really love that park.
It's got to be my backyard by the fire pit.
By the fireplace.
That one too.
That
Yes.
that's where we cheers the both of you, right there, right? When you guys go on a trip, what's your favorite part of the trip? You know, is it the paddling? Is it the portage? Is it getting to camp? Is it fishing? Is it, what is their favorite part of the day? Like, after that long day, or is it the long day, or
Mornings.
Sitting by the fire at night.
so night and day? So Tanya's up with John at like 4 in the morning,
Yeah,
and me and you are by the fire at like 11:30.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So yeah, so it's just like what is it you like about the morning and the night?
Well,
Well, what I like is just wake up and I don't know, hear the birds or don't hear anything, no noise of the cars or people or whatever, and go out, nice cup of coffee, relax, take it easy, watch nature, relax. That's what I like about.
yeah, me, I'm a night owl. I like to be awake at night, and if it's by a fire, telling stories or just sitting by the fire having a drink, that does it for me.
Nice.
Yeah, the smell of
The
uh,
smell of wood burning.
yeah, wood
Yeah.
burning.
The sound of John screaming bear. Okay, so I know you guys aren't on YouTube, right? So how do you guys document your trips? Like, how do you remember them other than just memories? Like, do you do anything? Do you write journals? Do you take pictures? Do you?
Just with pictures.
Pictures. Yeah, I'm I like to take a lot of pictures. Rarely take the time to edit and
Do
put them
something
and
with
do
them.
something with them. But I take a lot of pictures that I either keep on my phone, download to the computer or to the hard drive for safekeeping. And if I look at the picture, I can tell you what it is, when it was, but it's I'm very bad at actually editing and choosing the best ones. I just take a lot of pictures and keep them.
Keep them on the cloud.
Yeah.
So when you guys came to the outdoor adventure show with us in Toronto.
Mhm.
But I mean, even like you've met other people, be it decathlon, sail, whatever, or just regular car camping. What's a question, like I'm asking you guys questions right now, but what's a question that you would ask somebody that loves the same thing as we do?
Yeah,
Yeah,
new
new
places.
places. Yeah, give me. Do you have a
Like a
new?
special place that you really like,
Yeah,
or
or a hiking trail or a canoe route that it's a very good one. That recommendations for routes and places to go.
So different places to go.
Yeah.
One of the questions I'm asking people is what do you guys like? I mean, we don't all sit there and watch YouTube nonstop. Well, some of us do, but no. So what are some of your favorite personalities on YouTube that have to do with like backcountry camping and canoeing? It doesn't have to be the actual YouTube personality. It could be somebody that's in one of their videos. And Edgar, you can't say you in my video. That doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
I don't watch a lot. I watch first, G's, and
Shock.
Shock. I like Shock. He's kind of crazy, but I just watch whatever he puts sometimes. But
Yeah, I I don't follow a lot of people, but on the suggestions from YouTube, I'm just jumping from video to video, trying to see techniques. The
equipment.
the ones that come to mind, it's Shock, Spigiver,
Uh-huh.
and I forgot her name.
The two girls. The
Yeah,
Oh, Chris Prouse and Julia.
uh,
yeah, and there a girl with the dog and her boyfriend.
Girl with the dog and her boyfriend.
Yeah, we met them at the. You were
Oh, okay. Alexis Outdoors.
Alexis, yeah,
Yes. Yeah. Karina and Ryan.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So okay. So you mentioned, Shug and Spigiver. So those are obviously hammock related. But
Mhm.
are there things that you look for when you're looking for a video, or are you just like clicking on you might like to watch kind of thing?
When it's, for example, them, I'm looking for gear reviews and how to do some specific stuff. Like when I was learning, I went through a lot of videos just trying to learn how to pitch the hammock, the tarps,
stars. Yeah.
not
The
how to do
knots or
knots and a lot of stuff.
yeah.
And now I'm just watching videos just for the sake of seeing people out there doing trips.
So what you're saying is, if I made a video on how to rehydrate a creme brulee without getting powder in the bottom,
Yep.
then that would be a video that you would watch.
Yes. So.
Or how not to dehydrate the pâté chinois.
Shepherd's pie, it's a tricky one. If somebody was like somebody you knew, you guys are talking about trips and everything else, and somebody's like, "Oh, I'd like to try that." What would be your words of trying to sell a trip? Because a lot of the times we always talk about, oh my God, there was like a rain for a day. There was, we were getting waves like this. It's never. It's always positive for us because we went through it, but it's
Yeah.
never positive sounding.
No.
Yeah.
So, so what would you guys tell somebody who's like, oh, I'd like to try that? Well, how would you sell a backcountry trip to somebody?
Well, it happens a lot with all our friends and family because none of them are, well, at least family, not a lot
Yeah.
are happy. Like, oh, come on, you live there and 3 days or 1 week without bathroom, without taking a shower. You have to cook in no,
They
they don't like that.
they're not big on camping.
No. So sometimes we show them photos or we explain to them that you're out of the lake, out in the woods, no people, no technology, uh, all the great landscapes that you get to see, the animals. The animals works really well.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
if you like chipmunks, like, because we don't see other animals, right?
Just no.
Yeah, chipmunks and flying squirrels.
Yeah.
Loons. Yeah, I guess my technique is try to convince them that it's a challenge. You're challenging yourself to get to point A to point B using a map, and
Yes, you're gonna be cold, but you're gonna enjoy it.
yeah, it explained them that the way I see it and the way I live it, it's a challenge every time.
And
I
it's an adventure, and it's different from being here just watching TV.
Yeah.
All right. And the final question, where it all boils down to the big question here: where do you guys see the future of backcountry camping? Because there's a lot of things going on with either youth or access to parks or how the parks are run. Like, where do you guys see the future of backcountry camping?
Well, I've noticed in Ontario at least there's some places, for example, Temagami, there was a big issue last year where they were trying to, I think they were trying to expropriate some part of the woods to for logging and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So the Friends of Temagami were doing a movement, and they put some pressure, and I think they having some success there. So I see there's these groups um, that they try to protect the parks, and I think for what I've seen, there's always young people that keeps coming to the woods, even if it's just for the weekend, even if it's just for car camping, and that's fine because from I don't know numbers, but let's say if for every 10 people doing car camping, two decided to go into the woods, that's great. If five decided to go into the woods, that's great. If the 10 of them decide to go into the woods, well, then that's a problem. but but I think there's always going to be people going back into the woods because, like I said at the beginning, there's this yeah, this need to go back to how things were in a simpler time. It's this romantic idea, and these people wants to go always. It's nice to live in comfort and having running water and electricity and internet and all this stuff. It's fine. We all enjoy all these things, but at the same time, there's always going to be people who has the need of disconnecting and just going back to nature, even if it's just for a week, even if it's just for a weekend. There's always going to be people walking in the woods, rowing on the lakes. I don't think this is I don't think this is backcountry camping is not going anywhere. It's going to be
But
there.
I also think that the more they cut down the woods in populated areas,
Mhm.
people are going to be searching for that. So,
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
so Tanya.
Yeah, I guess people is getting more and more interested in doing it. Um, I don't know. I imagine it's the same that it's buildings, 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 and you don't get to see just a couple of trees. Maybe it's because of that. And the more they do these constructions, the people is going to be in need to go a little bit more to the woods.
All right. Well, that's it. It's the end of my questions. Thank you guys very much for answering them. I hope you
Oh,
enjoyed them.
yes.
It wasn't too challenging.
Uh, to spend a little time in the
Yeah.
So we get to do the social distance interview, right? So
yeah, exactly.
okay, so well, that's it. So we have Edgar and Tanya here on the OG and the canoe, and thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Nice being here.